Now we're going to talk about Jonathan Edwards. Again, you don't really need to know his birth and death years. I do want you to know he's a Puritan reverend. He is famous for his sermon, Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God. We are going to read part of that sermon in class. I do want you to have some of this. I definitely want you to have the top bullet about how he had an important role in shaping the first or the Great Awakening. He actually helped shape the Second Great Awakening. He believed that Puritans had gotten away from what the Puritan religion actually was, and he thought that they should move back. So he started this religious revival called the Second Great Awakening, and it tried to get people to become or follow the old Puritan views. It is a series of religious revivals. Now, the revivals are not like revivals like we're thinking about here. These revivals go on for years. And they travel around and they try to get people to, kind of adhere to this strict form of Puritanism. I do want you to know who George Whitfield is. He is one of the first major ministers during the first revival. He's one of the founders of Methodism. He is not he's not the primary founder of Methodism. That's Wesley. I can't remember what his first name is. But he is key in influencing and working with Jonathan Edwards. I do want you to know the structure and delivery of a Puritan sermon. Basically, it's this long, drawn-out, complicated essay. And if you think about it, if any of you are regular churchgoers, then you probably are used to hearing this form of preaching. Because first you have an epigraph, and that is where you read a part of the Bible and you explain it. So that's where they would introduce Scripture. Then, in the exposition, this is where you support that meaning with more Scripture. So it's like you back that up. See, it says it here, it says it here, and it says it here. This is giving more evidence. Then you've got the application. The application is how this applies to your personal life, is your spiritual life, your family, okay? How it applies to the community. And then you've got the epilogue. That's the call to action. Usually in modern church, that's the altar call. This is an emotional appeal. And this is where, everything kind of wraps up. Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God. He actually preaches this. One of the main metaphors is their foot shall slide in due time. And a lot of it is based on Deuteronomy 32:35. It's the 5th book in the Bible. All of this is following the fire and brimstone tradition. God is very angry. God is very vengeful. There's lots of yelling, lots of you're going to go to hell if you don't do this, you're going to go to hell if you don't do that. Now, he makes a parallel between between the Puritans and the Israelites. As you know, the Israelites in the Bible are chosen by God to be God's people. Then he kind of thinks that the Puritans are God's chosen people as well, which I feel like is always kind of cocky, because nowhere in the Bible does it say that the Puritans are God's chosen people. Some of the themes that I want you to be looking for are in the imminence of destruction. All that means is that destruction's around every corner at all times. Okay, that the seeds of destruction are always there. These people are constantly waiting for it, but God has been merciful and has held destruction back, and that there is constant danger of death and damnation for those who do not believe in God and are unconverted. I do want you to look for some imagery. I want you to look at figurative and descriptive language. You're going to be looking for lots of metaphors and similes and anything that causes a clear mental picture. The primary thing you're going to see is an angry God. It's going to use God as this mighty hand that holds up the populace. And if he ever so should decide, he could tip his hand and dump everyone into hell. And just for a little humor, this is kind of a modern interpretation of how the Puritans viewed God. I mean, they thought that God was present in every aspect of their lives. And now you might still believe that he is. You might not. But they thought that everything, that God was like a micromanager in their lives. Now, I know that this is not the most interesting piece to read, but you'll actually get a lot from it, and you'll understand the play that we're about to read better if you will go ahead and get on board with this. I hope you sort of enjoy it.